Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello!
And I'm back from I went to New York, I went to New Orleans. Some people will know, some people won't. Doesn't really matter because there's Mortal Kombat things to talk about. Now, when I found this out, popped me rotten, as we say, in the office, which some of you might know about. Joe Taslim has been confirmed as Sub-Zero in the new Mortal Kombat movie. Now, some people might know him. I've said some people like 3 times. First day I've been back in 2 weeks, but whatever. He's a big martial arts deal. If you're into your modern martial arts movies, you'll know Joe Taslim from The Raid and from The Night Comes For Us, where he was more of a main character in that.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that for a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a great pointation. I think it definitely sort of indicates that they're leaning towards, proper martial arts choreography in the new movie, hiring people who can, do the stunts as well as like deliver performances, because although he was more of a side character in The Raid, like you said, he led The Night Comes For Us, which I think I like more than you, but I thought he gave like a really good performance as well as like being this great martial artist in the context of the film. I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. I can't remember who you wanted as Sub-Zero, because you did that excellent
that was before I was on holiday. That was like, that's another lifetime. I would totally recommend. Scott. Yeah, I would recommend that video though, because me and Jules did a whole casting, and yeah, I had some dudes from The Raid on that. I had Iko Uwais as Liu Kang, who's the main character in The Raid too. But yeah, this point for me like kind of hints and points towards the fact that they're going down this route, which is what I really wanted them to do. I didn't want them to just cast some random sort of American actors and Hollywood A-listers or whatever. I'd want them to go down the choreography route. I want them to cast people who are extremely good at doing that new age brutal side of martial arts, where they really don't pull punches, and they're especially in something like The Night Comes For Us. Like there's a massive fight near the end of that with Joe Taslim, which just goes full on gore, just punching people's teeth out and raking their mouths open and eyes and everything, and it's really, really disgusting, but in a way that kind of makes you go, oh, I've not seen that before, and like, well, I guess that's the thing.
That's the delineation between The Raid and The Night Comes For Us for me. Like you were just saying, The Night Comes For Us is a very bloody affair, and I know you could argue that's to sort of like hide the fact that the choreography isn't quite as sort of on point as it is in The Raid, but like it's just such a bloody, unrelenting film to the point where you kind of become numbed by the violence. There are moments where it takes it to another level, like you say, people getting ripped apart and stuff, but for a lot of it, it's just blood here, stabbings there, people exploding their limbs over there, and it works, kind of, but I think it would work more in a Mortal Kombat.
That's my thing, because you recommended it, The Night Comes For Us, because I love like any martial arts movies, like like any movie that's heavy on choreography, it's well shot and that kind of stuff. Love the Ong-Bak movies, love Tony Jaa, love all that. And when I watched The Night Comes For Us, there is it's sort of like a new trend in a lot of modern martial arts movies, where they'll sort of go down the brutality route, sometimes to make up for a lack of choreography, and sometimes you will just get fights that are so over the top, that are so drawn out, there's like bones snapping left, right and center. To go back to the Ong-Bak example, the difference between Ong-Bak 1 and something like Warrior King, which got marketed as Ong-Bak 2 in different regions, there's a whole limb snapping scene in that second movie, which is cool, it's kind of badass, but I feel like it ushered in this whole like new era where it's just brutality for brutality's sake, whereas I want to focus on choreography, but in Mortal Kombat's case, you can focus on the blood and the guts and everything else.
This is where I'm kind of conflicted, because you can, but at the same time you need to sort of preserve the sanctity of the fatality and sort of like make that kind of as spectacular as it can be. And that might be sort of toning the violence back, not necessarily the violence, but the gore and sort of like the head-crushing goriness of it, I suppose. Like toning that back during regular fights, having this great choreography, having these real bone-crunching moves, but then, saving the extravagant gore for, like the final moments, or, like a final fatality when someone is properly killed. I think it's a tough balance to sort of, like go down, because obviously a huge part of the appeal of Mortal Kombat since its inception has been like just how brutal it is and how bloody it is, and that is obviously an intrinsic part of its DNA, but you don't just want that to become a gimmick, especially in a movie, which can just be like, hey, look how bloody it is.
This big thing we can sort of gif and give you that separately. I mean, how do you think they're going to do the fatalities, and how do you think they're going to do, like, how much are they going to lean into the idea that, because for me, most audiences know Mortal Kombat. They know that Sub-Zero is the ice guy that rips people's spines out, and they know that Liu Kang has, flame feet and can summon himself as a dragon or whatever. For me, I want them to lean into that stuff and just go with it. We don't need origin stories. We just need full-on fights that just go into the fatalities. Yeah, everyone knows what they are.
I agree, and I think there's two ways they can do it. They can either do the latter-day Mortal Kombat video game thing of kind of making it a bit more
like cartoonish.
Yeah, a bit more
it's
cartoonish.
Pure itchy and scratchy these days.
Exactly.
Which I love.
Which I think you kind of have to do when graphics get so realistic and technology gets so far forward. I think there is a way to do that in a movie to continue to keep it grounded and keep it believable while also having this wacky violence. Or they could just make it the most brutal thing ever and make you squirm in your seat like you do the bit in the raid where he pulls the guy's face down into the door and you're just like, oh my god, what have I just seen?
See, I want stuff like that. If they can integrate a CG into it, because the thing is, like, James Wan is confirmed as at least producer. I don't know if he's on as directing.
I don't think he is. He's definitely producing.
Simon McQuoid is directing it. But like, you know, you have this guy like James Wan who's known for gore and known for sort of like, you know, injecting a bit of CG to accentuate different like blood effects and things like that. I love the idea of you have, you know, really good meaty choreographed fights, and at the very end it just goes into a fatality where all of a sudden someone like Joe Taslim is just grabbing a guy's head and ripping it straight out in the middle of that shot. That could be phenomenal.
I think that's the way you do it. I think you do sort of like lean into it and make it sort of be this shocking moment, like I think the raid especially did. I know I keep going on about it, but I love the raid 1 and 2 because I think it got the balance perfectly between those like really hard hitting punches and that really well choreographed sort of movement, and then it would finish it essentially in a fatality where someone would die in a really brutal way, whereas The Night Comes For Us on the other hand was just brutality all the way through, where it wasn't special. It didn't have those crescendos into ultra-violence that I think a Mortal Kombat movie needs. I don't know how they're going to balance this. I think it's very telling that we've been talking for 5 minutes about the choreography of a Mortal Kombat movie, which you would arguably be the most important thing, but at the same time you need a story and a world and a direction to back that up.
I think that, well, that's kind of my thing. I think the mythology is already set. Like, it's like, if you're gonna, one of the best things, this is going to be a weird comparison, but one of the best things that came out of that idea of approaching an established mythos is you go back to the Batman animated series, where at the very beginning of it, the mission statement that they had, that they circulated around the whole studio back then, was they said that we don't need to retell Batman's origin story. They said it's as well known as the Bible at this point. Let's just crack on. And I just want them to do that with Mortal Kombat. Like, you can get into all the stuff with like the Lin Kuei and, you know, like the Cyber Lin Kuei and all these different bits and pieces. I don't, you know, you do the Kamidogu, you can do whatever you want. But I think you have so many things are established. Like, everyone knows the names of these characters. We know that Lord Raiden, we know Earthrealm and Netherrealm. Like, for me, I don't want the focus on storytelling necessarily. I just want them to kick the crap out of each other for 2 hours.
Well, this is again what I've been wondering how they're going to do it, because obviously he is being cast as Sub-Zero, so I wonder whether it's going to be that sort of approach, whereas everyone kind of knows who Sub-Zero is, like you said, he's the ice guy. Are they just going to sort of take those base qualities and assume everyone knows them, or are they going to inject that wider mythology into it? Because there is a lot of mythology there, and I'm not sure whether a casual audience will sort of, you know, want that necessarily.
I don't think. Well, that's the thing. All they need to do is they haven't cast Scorpion yet. But as soon as you've cast him, you can pretty much hang the movie on Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Like, even in terms of like iconic images, you have just the yellow guy fights the blue guy. That's kind of the thing. And as soon as you throw that up there, then you have enough to hang a marketing campaign on, and people will go for the gore and the fights and the stunts and all that kind of stuff. And for me, it can be the martial arts equivalent of Mad Max, because no one talks about necessarily the themes in the story in Mad Max. It's all about the stunts. And so if you get that balance right, like, I think you can just do, like, because another thing with modern martial arts films is that sometimes you're just jumping through the story parts just to get to the cool fights, because that's where the most focus has been put anyway.
I think Mad Max is a very good comparison there, because although that is, I do think that is a thematically rich movie, but it's easily missed. It's very much under the surface. It's very much hidden in the background. There is a world to Mad Max Fury Road that you can dive into that is implicated in that film by the iconography and the way characters speak, but it's not the text of the film, like, if that makes sense. The text it's like a road action movie first and foremost, and then it's sprinkled with this great world building that doesn't distract from what people are fundamentally there to see, which is Tom Hardy on a beam going from car to car and punching people in the face
with a nice little mask on.
With a brilliant mask.
Speaking of nice masks, I think Scorpion and Sub-Zero have some nice masks. But I think if that's the thing when you talk about Mortal Kombat, they can totally do the big stupid punchy face movie, and then in the background, if you want to go and delve into all that stuff with the origin of the Elder Gods and, you know, why the tournament even exists and stuff like that, all those things are there for the hardcore fans or for potential gateway fans to get into. But I do think you can just sell the whole movie on punching people in the face.
This sounds great, and I would like that. But what I worry is, in an era of cinematic universes where everything needs to be a franchise, Mortal Kombat has the mythology ripe to be a franchise, and I can't see a movie studio taking those characters in this world and just being kind of like, you know what, we'll have a brisk, tight one-off. If it makes a sequel, then we get a sequel, rather than trying to cram every little bit of world building into it to set up a wider universe where Scorpion might have his own movie, Sub-Zero might have his own spin-off film.
That's what they've done in the new games. They've started fleshing those things out. Like, I mean, that was was something they did in Mortal Kombat 10 and 11 was flesh out like why Scorpion and Sub-Zero are fighting. Turns out they didn't need to be fighting. It was all because of Quan Chi. Who cares? I do, but whatever. They can do that stuff in their solo movies if they want. I think it's way better if they do what a lot of people thought the Justice League would do. Start with your ensemble piece and you hint at wider lore stuff. And if the audience is there for it, they respond to it. Then you take that actor and go, okay, you can now do a separate Sub-Zero movie.
Yeah.
That would be the way to do it for me.
I agree. I didn't even realize I wanted these wider spin-off movies until I just said it right there. We just talked about it.
I do, and I would take a Cassie Cage spin-off. I would take someone like that, someone who has enough energy to carry a whole film. For me, characters like Sub-Zero and Scorpion work best as mythical. You know, you get little hints of what they're really fighting for.
Yeah.
That's why I love the franchise so much, is because you have this excuse to throw all these different martial artists together.
This is a huge sort of, prediction on my part, but just talking about it now, it reminds me of, Scorpion or Sub-Zero, but especially Scorpion, I kind of view as the Wolverine of the X-Men roster, right? That's the one, that's the guy people know instantly. Yes, they know the rest of them. Yes, they know Mortal Kombat as a whole, but Wolverine is the cool one who sells a lot of toys and people love. He's just an icon of the entire franchise.
Mortal Kombat has like 10 of them. But I'm with you.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Well, I would argue X-Men does too, but I mean to, Joe, person who plays games and watches movies, Scorpion is really identifiable, and I can see them trying to do a sort of X-Men Origins Wolverine thing where they spin off his character and give him too much backstory, and then they kind of ruin it because you don't need to know about him, and he works better as an ensemble.
I mean, the thing that they did with Scorpion that some people didn't like in the Mortal Kombat 11 was you had Hanzo Hasashi, which is him before he was betrayed by Quan Chi and turned into a demon with the skull face. They highlighted him more and they made him more human, and then they killed off the demonic version. No, they killed off the human version and they kept the old one, but he had all the memories, he had all the knowledge of where his future self would go, so he knew that he could change his path going forward.
Love it.
So you kind of get a bit of both. Stuff like that, there's enough little character stuff in there, but it's Mortal Kombat. Like there's already been 2 movies, there's a way to just do this where you just focus on the choreography. Just make it a big bloody spectacle. I don't care about the rest of it.
I just want to see them do it, because I feel like this movie's been teased for so long. We had those kind of fan movies that were on YouTube that ended up becoming a webisode sort of thing, and then that was going to be a movie, but then it didn't happen. Now they've gone another direction. I just want to see them have a try at it, and hopefully it'll be good. And this casting, to me, is a good start.
If as a random recommendation, I can't think of the actual name of that thing, but there was a fan made, like you said, there was a fan made Mortal Kombat thing where it was all done realistically. Jax was like a realistic chief commander in like New York City or whatever, and Reptile was a serial killer who kept like random people's heads in his fridge, and it might have been Reptile actually, or Baraka, sorry, and that was a great way to go. And they took that as the impetus to then do like a whole webisode series, but it didn't take the same tone. It went lighter. But that thing, if you search Mortal Kombat fan film, realistic fan film, you'll find that thing is pristine. That thing is really brilliant.
Really good.
Yes. So this is all the latest information on the new Mortal Kombat movie. For now, though, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
I will catch you next time.
Bye. Finish him.
God, I'm so tired already. I've fatality'd myself.
He's dead now.
Yeah.